Welcome to the Dan Casper Show podcast, your chance to catch the full show anytime, anywhere. If you missed it live on the radio, no worries. We've got you covered with all the sports talk, opinions, interviews, and conversations from the show. From the Packers to the Brewers to the biggest stories in sports and around Wisconsin, it's all right here. This is the Dan Casper Show podcast. All right. Second quarter, or I should say halftime, is over with. We are on to the third quarter on this Thursday morning. Happy Masters opening round to all of our fellow people who celebrate this day. Hopefully you're wearing your green and such and getting ready to watch copious amounts of golf on TV. And this is usually the time, too, where I practice my chipping in my man cave and such because I'm getting into the to the golf mood and that, although I probably could go to a course in that, but I got to do it while I'm watching, obviously, some golf on TV and pretend that I'm Tiger Woods and all that. But nonetheless, send us your predictions on who do you have winning the Masters. They are out on the course this morning. Ola Thawel already out to an early lead through three. He's 2 under par, so it's a familiar name over there. But, looking at where do the I'm looking at trying to find the groups that I want to watch, top Masters groups. Pairings, that's what I'm looking for. Tee times pairings. Let's go. Obviously, everybody's going to be going, looking at Rory and that. Scotty Scheffler tees off this afternoon. Jordan Spieth, Justin Rose, Brooks Koepka. That would be an interesting one. We've got Freddie Couples. Everybody wants Freddie Couples to win. So do I. Rory, Cameron Young, and Mason Howell later on this morning. Bryson, Matt Fitzpatrick, and Xander Schauffele. That is a fantastic group. I like that group because I'll tell you my pick, Xander Schauffele, but my second pick was actually Bryson DeChambeau. So I don't know if, because you picked DeChambeau, right?
That's who I want to
That's
win.
who you want to win. There's this theory out there based off his age, and I can't even remember it, but I saw it, I think, on Instagram or something, where it's all this lines up that Bryson's going to win this year. So I'm going to go Schauffele, though. I don't know why. I like Matt Fitzpatrick, too. That is a fun group, 907. Man. I hope that's got to be a featured group, I would think, on Masters to watch. That's a really fun group to watch. But if you want to make your picks, you can text them or join in on the chats. I think we've got Zach's over there. C-Bomb was chiming in a little bit. Brandon's on there. Matt's on there. So join the fellas out there. Scotty Scheffler is a pick that is definitely going chalk with that pick, but you probably won't be wrong either if you pick Scotty Scheffler. So, coming up at the bottom of the hour, we'll catch up with Jake Bolks, our conservation warden friend. So if you got any questions, maybe for the upcoming turkey season, please text those on over to us at 715-830-1912 on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line this morning. Off day today for the Brew Crew after they dropped their first series against the Boston Red Sox yesterday. So they'll be returning home to face the Washington Nationals starting tomorrow in a 3-game series. Since it is a takeover Thursday as well, we had a listener. Throw out the question: who would be the foursome that you would take to golf with at Augusta National? Got to be around here too, so send those on over if you like. And we're looking for your sports bucket list items. You mentioned a football game. We're going to try to make that happen. An NFL game, I should say, most specifically. What's another one that you had? You said you had a few of them.
I'd love to go to a Final Four with
Those
March
are fun.
Madness.
That's fun.
And then the only other thing is jump around at Camp Randall. I think would be special.
Yep. Yep. I've been to a Final Four, so that's off mine. This is, again, going back to my sports history. I'd love to go to the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Cooperstown and Baseball Hall of Fame. I would love to go and visit those. I haven't been there, so I'd like to do that. One that's not around anymore is I just blanked on it. Why did I just blank out? Polo Grounds is an old field.
Yes. Polo Grounds.
I would. It's not around anymore and such, but man, if I could hop in a DeLorean and get back into the future, I'd go watch a game at the Polo Grounds. I had a kind of for our podcast segment because I was watching Field of Dreams the other day with my kid. That's another place I'd like to go. I'd like to go down to Iowa, Field of Dreams. But like, it was kind of a fun topic. If you heard a voice intern that said, if you build it, he will come. What would, first of all, you're saying, you're good, nothing with that. But what would be the sports person that's not around anymore that you would plow down your cornfield and either build a football field, a baseball field, a basketball court, or wherever to watch that person come back?
Oh, boy. So
I had
a former player
that's not around anymore.
Okay.
So, like, I had, obviously age is a thing, but I never saw Lombardi. I'd plow down my cornfield and build a football field to see Lombardi coach a team.
Yeah.
Don Hudson was my number one. I'd see that on there. Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, I would love to see that Yankees team play. This one was weird, but I would say I'd build a Polo Grounds just to watch Polo Grounds play. I just something like that. So, and then Bobby Jones, golfer, that with the Masters, that was mine. So I'll let you think about that for a little bit. But we got a foursome: Sammy Sosa, Wilson Contreras, and Craig Counsell. Okay. I think that's a Chicago Cubs fan that's chiming in right now for that, I would imagine. But
yeah, just don't hit Contreras too many times.
Yeah, right? No kidding. Be careful. Yeah. Be careful off the tee with him. So, but what else do we got? We got a few more messages I have to get to here. And Zach says, Rodgers, Tiger, Tom Brady. Andre the Giant, I'm assuming, is that the Field of Dreams question? Bucket list sports events for Zach, Super Bowl, and the Daytona 500. Brandon, a little bit earlier, said his first Packers game was a preseason game versus the Rams. Won the tickets from Sports Talk 105.1 and was in the Festival Food Suite. All the food I could eat was a great time. So, all right. Yeah. Good stuff. I like those. Keep those coming. Keep them coming. Yeah, okay. Andre Giant, Field of Dreams. Solid pick. So, let's try to think. I did a top five. I don't know why. I think like watching football and baseball 30s and 40s would be fun. It'd be boring compared to today's football, but just something about it on these small fields and cars lining up because that's how they played under the lights and all that. Just be kind of cool.
I feel like it'd be like the play style would kind of be like high school football nowadays.
I think you're right. Yeah,
just more physical, but a lot of running.
Yeah.
So
I think that's a good analogy. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. Got a few more picks here. Yeah, Scotty Scheffler is a very popular pick for a lot of you. Got do have a Matt Fitzpatrick pick. Got another Colin Morikawa pick coming through here, and a couple more Bryson DeChambeaus. I was just going to bring up, this is the one thing I think is kind of cool. I know Bryson is, I feel like you either like him or you don't. I don't know if there's a middle ground for a lot of people when it comes to Bryson DeChambeau. But he is playing with a 5-iron at the Masters. I don't know if you saw this story. That he made himself with a 3D printer. Now, I've heard him that he's used clubs like this before, like designed his own clubs, built his own clubs, 3D printers and that. But I'm curious to see how this works.
Yeah.
A 3D, I think I've always wanted to get a 3D printer to make stupid stuff. I never thought about making a golf club out of it. And I know he's like very analytical and very physics based, which I think maybe you can be for how strong he is and powerful he is. So, but
I'm surprised that's legal.
Says the USGA would have to approve his clubs before they are used in competition. So, yeah, I don't know if it has been approved, but yeah, it says Yeah, okay, he is using it. I'm assuming that means it was approved, I would guess. So, but hey, if he wins and a lot of it is because of that, there you go. He's got that money. He can have his own line of golf clubs.
Yeah.
I got to know what kind of 3D printer he's got where he can build a golf club that could survive his swing, though.
No kidding.
Right? You talk about a guy that's going to probably have some major back issues and such over the years. Oh, that hurts my back watching him swing a golf club. So, Lou Dream Jeff, Chuck Liddell in his prime want to go to Canada. Well, Chuck Liddell's still around. It's got to be somebody who's not around. I know what you said, though, Jeff, in his prime. But Fleetwood is my choice to win, says Mark. John says my golf for some would be Will Ferrell, Adam Sandler, and Charles Barkley. Okay. All there for the comedic relief.
Yeah, but you could compete with them probably.
You probably could. Probably could. So, I can't compete with anybody anymore. So, all right. We'll take a quick break and regroup. 15 minutes. We've got Jake. So, if you have any questions, please text those on over. We'll be right back after these few words. Mike from Medford saying Field of Dreams, Roberto Clemente, watching him hit and show off his cannon from the outfield. That's a great pick, too. Mike says, great topic and movie. I'm hoping to do a program from Medford here soon, so got to go back to the hometown and do a show. So we'll see if that maybe works out or such. But I mentioned it in the podcast, Man Cave podcast, when we talk about it. I just feel like Field of Dreams, when you become a dad, takes on a whole different meaning with that movie. You've seen Field of Dreams, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So it's different when you actually have it or a dad in that. But before we get to Jake here in just a little bit, and again, this is going to be your final call if you have any questions for Jake Bolks, our conservation warden friend, coming up here. But quick NFL note, we're getting closer to the potential of replacement officials. I know we talked about it a little bit last week and such, but the NFL has informed teams that they're going to start to train these replacement officials and such. And I think we're all kind of saying, here we go again with this whole situation that was it 2013 that it happened before? Was it 2013 or was it a little bit earlier? Regardless, Hail Mary game, we all know it, and then that. Now, we know the NFL knows what happened that year too. So I would have to imagine they're going to do everything possible to train these officials to not happen. But I also feel like the NFL knows they can get away with this because we're still going to watch. You know, because I know some people are saying, well, this is going to hurt viewing and this is going to... No, it's not. Is watching replacement officials going to deter you from watching a Packers game? No, it's not. Is it going to annoy me with maybe some potential calls and such? Yeah, but it's not going to make me stop watching it. Is it going to ruin the product? No, I don't think it's going to at all, because the NFL is king, right? And we only have 17 of these games, so we pay attention to it, we follow it, we live and breathe it all year long practically. And it might be a crappier product, if you will, but it's not going to stop us from consuming it. It's an addiction, really, if you think about it, isn't it? NFL football, watching these games at this point. So you might have been, do you even remember with your age the replacement officials from?
I remember the play.
You remember the play? Yeah, okay. Yeah. The Hail Mary?
Yeah.
That was probably one of the very few times, or I should say one of the last times I was so upset after a game I didn't want to talk to anybody. Then I was just like, okay, that's not worth it getting that upset anymore. But it was like, what are we doing? How is that possible? But yeah, I honestly feel like it's not going to ruin viewership. It's not going to ruin numbers. If anything, it's going to get people to talk more about the NFL and maybe even put more pressure on the officials and referees. I'll say I think the Referees Association wants what happened years ago to happen again because that makes them, I mean, after that Packers-Seahawks game, what happened? They came back, right? The NFL's like, okay, you guys win. Here you go. And I honestly wonder if that's kind of the bargaining chip that the NFL Referees Association has that they're going to use. Like, hey, look what happened last time you guys didn't pay us. You want to go through that again? But then I feel like the NFL's, hey, we could go through that again. Everybody's still going to watch. And that's where I honestly feel like the impasse is kind of at this point. And it's almost a game of chicken. The longer the season goes with replacement officials and fewer issues, the better it is for the NFL. If it's bad right away, like it was during that Phil Mary game, it's better for the Referees Association.
I'm interested to see kind of which side of the aisle they fall on, whether it's more ticky-tack, pass interference, roughing the passer, holding calls, or they're going to dial it down kind of. Because the product's going to be better if they dial it down. I mean, we don't need to see quarterbacks get touched in it to be roughing the passer. We don't need to see bad pass interference calls. So I'm interested to see which aisle they kind of land on, which side. But they're taking steps to try to fix it. They're trying to review plays and flags for the replacement refs. But like you said, we're going to watch anyways, and we're going to get into the game, whether we want to or not, because it's football. So.
Right. You know, the flip side of that, too, you mentioned, are they going to be a little bit more lenient and such? After that first week, you know, and I know a lot of these officials, they're college or D1 and such, but the first moment that they get barked at from an adult, a quarterback or a huge defensive person and such, does that change? It changed me, you know, because I can't handle that. I don't want to get, you know, berated by somebody who's 6'6", 300 pounds, and you know, that's the other part in this whole thing too.
Or just somebody with prestige. Like if Aaron Rodgers is barking at you, you're likely going to change your calls a little bit because it's Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah,
and so like that's going to be interesting to watch.
Or a head coach like an Andy Reid or something like that. It influences. People don't say, you know, it doesn't, but it still does influence. We see this all the time. It might be something minor. We joke about it, right? Oh, there's the makeup call. That's influence, though. It happens at every level, and it continues. Ask Badger basketball fans about it against Duke in 2015.
Yeah, we got robbed.
You know, so, I mean, it still happens to this day. It regardless of the level. It's out there. So, I hope we don't get to it. I hope this is just back and forth where the NFL is like, okay, we're going to play this card. We're going to go out there and say we're doing this and maybe get them back to negotiation. Hopefully it's a part of a negotiation tactic, but yeah, it's not going to deter me from watching football, but I can already prepare myself for some of the talking points after games if something's going to happen. You know, that's the way it's going to be. So, all right. We got to take a break, and then we'll get to Jake. He's going to join us here in just a little bit. So final call. If you got any last-second questions, you got to text them to us right now. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Hey, if you want to get the smokers out this weekend, you got a hot deal alert at Hy-Vee in Eau Claire. Bone-in pork shoulder butts for just $1.39 a pound while supplies last. So make sure you head on over to Hy-Vee in Eau Claire, load up on that. You can also take advantage of their breakfast deals going on all April. Enjoy breakfast favorites and save big with $5 off $25 or $10 off $50. For your meals to go order. So, as always, don't forget to follow along on Hy-Vee to their Facebook page because they always have daily deals, weekly specials, and all that good stuff too. So, if you got a kiddo, it is National Unicorn Day today. So, if you stop by the floral department at your Eau Claire Hy-Vee, you'll have a magical scavenger hunt too. So, there's always some cool stuff going on at Hy-Vee in Eau Claire. All right, let's switch gears here just a little bit as we catch up with our buddy, Mr. Jake Bolks, Conservation Warden for the great state of Wisconsin. Good morning, Jake. How you doing, man?
Morning. How's she going?
Not bad, dude. Getting ready for turkey season and such. Looks like weather's going to be better than last weekend, when I thought it was last weekend. But hey, kiddos get the first crack at it, so it should be a good weekend for the youngsters to head out there.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be warmer than last week, no doubt about it. I was just looking at the weather before this, and it does look like the rain's kind of moving all around. I thought it was only going to be Sunday, now it shows Saturday, so you might be sitting in the rain a little bit, so hopefully those blinds are set up for the youth. But other than that, yeah, it's going to be warm. The turkey should be moving. I mean, they're already moving. If you've driven down the interstate, so that's I hate to say it, but that's a sign that spring is coming. All of a sudden you don't see a dead turkey on the road for 9 months, and then you can't go 10 miles without seeing a couple of them.
Right.
But they're in the fields, they're in people's yards, they're fighting, they're strutting, they're ready. So
they're. I'm just like,
fun.
If the kiddos out there, if you're going, just save some for the rest of us. That's all I ask. Right.
Exactly.
So
no doubt about it.
But yeah, it's kind of the kickoff. We were talking about baseball opening day a couple weeks ago and such. It's kind of like turkey season opening day this weekend. It's just the youngsters get the first crack. So excited for that.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a good time. Everyone's generally happy. The kids are excited. As a parent or a grandparent or just a guardian, it's fun to. I think a lot of us are in that position where we obviously enjoy harvesting our own animals, but I think we find even more joy in finding friends or youth or family members that are successful and seeing their joy. So I know that's a big part of this weekend.
Just kind of a general question. Since you've been in this position, Jake, with, the youth hunt for turkeys, have you seen more and more of the younger hunters getting involved in turkey hunting? Because I'll be honest, like when I was younger, it really wasn't a thing, but I feel like now it's just, it's grown, and I know probably populations have a factor in that, but have you seen from the years you've been doing this, youth turkey hunting kind of getting bigger and bigger every year?
Yeah, I've been on for a little over a decade, and I do feel like turkey hunting's been pretty popular since that time. I couldn't speak on it 20, 30 years ago, but since I've been hired, it seems like it's always been a popular sport. Obviously, I would say it's even more popular than it was back in 2014, 2013. But I would say that ever since I started, there's always been plenty of learn to hunts for turkey. The youth hunt is always popular. You can find people from day one, which is next Wednesday, all the way to the very last Tuesday in May, where people are hunting. So I would just say the sport in general, and when I listen to different podcasts from around the country talking about turkey hunting, it sounds like that's what it is nationwide. You used to be able to run around from state to state and buy a over-the-counter tag for $10-20 as a non-resident, and now it sounds like a lot of states have implemented like one turkey limits for people and different things. So I think just the overall it's been growing, which is good. It always helps. That means more licenses are being sold. It means it's more popular. It means, there's other positives that come with that. Obviously, a negative would be more people in the woods potentially.
Right. Yeah. No, honestly, it's turkey hunting. It's something that I thought about wanting to do when I was younger, but the options were just kind of limited. And it's honestly something I just picked up probably in the last, maybe 10 years or so. And dude, I love it. I love turkey hunting. I think it's kind of, if you're an outdoorsman, if you're a hunter or anything and you haven't tried it, it's a lot of fun. I mean, when you hear that gobble in the woods, that gets your bones going, man.
Oh yeah. No, that when you hear that, especially when it's 5, 6 in the morning and you hear that first, well, hopefully close one, but even if you hear one way far off in the distance, it gets you excited. It's fun. So it's a good time of year. And you're right. I would say there's definitely, I think just with more people doing it, there's more opportunity for the youth and other people getting involved versus like what you said, growing up and stuff. So I think there's just a lot of opportunity, which is really good.
You're talking about, since you've been hired and such, which is kind of one of the topics to bring up here, because I got an email and I know somebody had mentioned this as a question. I think we've gotten this question before a couple times too, but warden recruitment for the upcoming class and such, Jake. So Now, can you kind of explain like what type of background do you need? Because for instance, I know somebody, a friend of mine, he went to school for, I think he was like accounting and such, but you know what? Now he was recently, I think last year, he is now a game warden and such. So what's kind of the background to go if anybody is interested in becoming a DNR warden?
Yeah, so that's a good question. We definitely get that a lot. I think there's a lot of people that think you got to be the world's, greatest hunter as well as have gone to school for 8 years for, law enforcement or game warden. And that's not the case. So what the DNR, what we try to hire are the best overall people that can teach a hunter ed in the morning or in the evening and talk with kids and get to their level and speak with them appropriately. But then later in the day, do a poaching investigation or assist the county with maybe a fatal motor vehicle accident. Someone who can, do your paperwork and work on your own, but also work in a group. So we're looking for like the best all-around person that wants to be a game warden, that wants to protect the resources, that can work on their own and stuff like that. And your background, it's obviously important because you want to be we're hoping that everyone's a sportsman and has a hunting, fishing, background, but we're looking for people that just want to do the job and are ready to get trained to do it. So to your point, there's wardens now that have started out in the banking world. They were bankers for 15 years and decided that they wanted to change in their profession. There's wardens that, were in wildlife or they just did non-traditional, jobs. Obviously, there's tons of us that went to school for it. Like I went to Stevens Point. My plan from day one was to be a game warden, and I worked hard to try to accomplish that. There's a lot of guys that were in the military that when they get out of the military, they're looking for careers and they come in here. And then a lot of, traditional officers that work for the county or the city or state patrol or even the federal government that, want to make a career change and come work for the state. So you can really have any sort of background, which is the really cool part about this. Our hiring process is pretty open-ended in the sense of we just want you to come in and see if this is the right job for you. And if you fit, if you fit the need and you want the job and you have the qualifications, we're going to work to get you there.
Yeah, definitely. So if anybody is interested, is it easy just to kind of go online and check it out and find information and such?
Yeah, it's quite easy these days. I will say they've done a really good job of updating and kind of creating a recruiting webpage. So if you go to the DNR website, the dnr.wisconsin.gov website, and you just go to the search bar and type in warden or kind of go through the menu there, you should be able to find the warden page. And the technical name of our division is the Division of Public Safety and Resource Protection. But that's the game warden division. You go on there and you can actually sign up to get notifications and get on email alerts for updates and when the hiring process is open and different stuff like that. It also has a lot of information on there about the day in the life of a warden, what we do, some of the qualifications. It talks about the hiring process, like the academy, the FTO training, what to expect when you're there. It's got a little bit of everything, as well as contacts if you want to do a ride-along or to talk with some of our recruiting wardens. So it's a really, really good spot to start is to go to that website and then do a ride-along. And we do ride-alongs just like any other law enforcement. And you can jump in the truck with us for half a day or a day and see what we do, see how contacts go, see what just kind of get a first-hand view of it. So there's a lot of resources for it, and if it's something you really want to do, I really encourage you to reach out and participate in those.
I still want to do a ride-along with you one of these days.
We'll do it
out there. Okay, I just want to.
I'm gonna send you over the paperwork here soon, so we'll get her on the board.
Yes, I want to do that.
But yeah, I do believe I should know this better, but I'm pretty sure our hiring process is actually open right now. If it should be through. If it isn't, it just ended. But go on there if you have some interest. And what I always tell people is, it's not super common to get hired on your first try. It's a long process. Any law enforcement hiring process is long, but we get 800, 1,000 applicants that we have to work through. So it's a long process. It takes the whole summer, and there's a lot of steps to it. So what I tell everyone is if you're interested, is get in that hiring process and start checking it out, because you're going to gain experience. You're going to figure out what it's all about. You're going to find out if you want to do it. If you're not, you're going to make contacts, and it's a really good starting spot too. So if you're interested, I encourage you to look it up today, find out if you can still apply, because we only hire once a year. And then depending on the budget that we get from the state, sometimes we can hire 7, sometimes we can hire 14, sometimes we can hire 0. So it's all dependent on the budget.
Moving to for little deer stuff, the Citizen Deer Advisory Councils, and this is that time of year when the DNR is seeking some public input on the upcoming deer season. And right now, anybody can go online and provide, some feedback. I know there's some in-person stuff, but this is where we set up those zones and the amount of tags that potentially could be available, right, Jake?
Yeah, so your CDACs is what a lot of people, you'll hear them called a CDAC, your County Deer Advisory Council. They're a little different this year in the sense of, with all those new DMUs up north and stuff, there's a lot more of these meetings occurring, especially up north. So there's a lot of opportunity. To your point, there is the online, you can put in your comments, your observations, your suggestions, stuff like that, and those will get collected and transferred to all the CDAC members that represent different parts of your community, as well as the DNR staff, and they dig through those and take those into account when it comes to the decision making. But you're right. There's basically like 2 CDAC meetings, one to kind of go through stuff from last year, stuff for this year, take public input and whatnot, and then I believe there's a second one later in the spring that kind of finalizes all the information. So you're definitely going to want to participate in that if you want to have your voice heard. Kind of like the spring hearings next week, it's an opportunity to go in and in this case specifically talk about deer hunting locally where you hunt, and try to have an impact on the amount of tags, whether you want more or less, whether it's antlerless or antlered, whether something's working or not. You can have an opinion. And I would say over the years of me doing it, I feel like it has been underrepresented by the community. There's always like the community members that are part of the actual CDAC council that sit at the table and make the decisions, but it's open to the public, the meetings are, and there's usually only 5 to 10 people from the public that actually come in and have conversations and explain their point of view. So, and those go a long way with the decision-making process. So I really do encourage people to go to them if you want to try to make an impact on your hunting experience locally.
Right. Yeah. I think every deer hunter probably has a thought or opinion on the amount of tags, right? So, here's your opportunity.
Every deer hunter has an opinion. I can tell you that, including myself.
Yep.
So
exactly.
I'm not saying this or that, but everyone's got an opinion on the way it should be, it can be, and some of it's, positive and keep it the same, and some of it's, a total revamp of the system, and that's fine. If you want to come in and discuss it, it's the time to do it.
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, I know we talked a little bit about, fishing a little bit ago, and I know we got the opener here in a few weeks, just under a month, and we talked a lot about, the inland trout season that opened up on April 4th, Jake. But something new this year, I wanted to make sure to kind of bring up the muskie season, opening up on May 2nd for all inland waters of the state. So there's no longer a separate season for the northern zone, correct? Is that different for this year, new for this year?
Yeah, yep. They kind of removed that, I guess, waiting period, or they just combined it.
Mm-hmm.
I think the DNR is trying to do all they can do to try to make the seasons, make the dates more consistent, not just in fishing, but hunting. You see a lot more seasons, general fall seasons ending in that first week in January. Same with fishing. They're trying to push a lot more of the start dates to the general dates, as long as like the biology or the biology of the fish can sustain it or handle it. Like it won't make too much of an impact on that species, whether it's, breeding, spawning or just, the time of year and the environmental effects of the earlier time of year. But as you know, fishing has a gajillion rules, and that's because, us as the public want to, manage our lakes appropriately, which is totally cool and good. And every lake has a potential for different, a different species to be the dominant fish or a trophy lake or this or that. So I think the DNR's trying to consolidate it as much as they can while also giving the public the input to, again, at a local level, have the fishing be what the local fishermen want.
Mm-hmm. Did I also see, too, that there's going to be, for sturgeon, at least a catch and release season on select waters, it looks like this summer? Or this year, maybe starting in June?
Yeah, so that one was not, I guess, not new to me. I had an idea that it was coming. I didn't know it was going to come this year already. But yeah, so in the past, the only time you could, especially around here, the only time you could catch and release sturgeon or keep one is during that September hook and line season. But now they've opened it up to a catch and release season throughout, I guess, most of the year, most of the summer at least, and fall. And then the harvest season will stay the same, where if you want to keep a 60-incher, then that will be in September. But it's going to make it legal to go down to the river and throw a big treble hook for a sturgeon, which you couldn't do beforehand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so all right. And there is sturgeon specific, I don't know if tag is the right word, but like a hook and line inland one, right? I mean, you gotta buy that too, right?
Yeah, you gotta buy the license. You gotta buy the license, have a fishing license, have the tag, and especially if you're gonna harvest one in the fall, you gotta have that tag with you before you harvest it.
Okay.
You still have to get it registered and stuff like that.
Got it. Jake, before we let you go here, I know we kept you a little long, but any final words before maybe the kiddos head out again for spring turkey or anything like that?
No, we've hit it a lot, which is really good because I think a lot of us listening are probably going to be some sort of guardian or parent or grandparent. So I would say for the turkey hunting, it's just, again, I guess I never got my regulations plug in this week. So read the regulations before you go out. I checked them this morning. I was looking at the youth hunting stuff. All the information is in our regulations under the turkey hunting. It talks all about the youth hunt, about how every youth is entitled to one bird for the whole season. They have to have all the licenses and stamps. They're entitled to one bird. It doesn't matter what season you pick. You could use your A season tag, or if they have a D or a E season tag, they can do that. But the one thing, you do have to hunt in the zone that your tag is good for. So we're in zone 4 here in the Chippewa Valley. If the kiddo has a zone 4 tag, you got to stay in that zone. You can use any season, A, B, C, D, E for harvest, but you can't take your tag and go over to Marshfield or Wausau and be in zone 3, or you can't go down to La Crosse and be in zone 1. You got to hunt in the zone that tag is good for.
Yeah.
But otherwise, just make sure they got their license. I know there's going to be a lot of licenses bought today, tonight, and even tomorrow morning, but just really, really make sure you have that, because there's nothing worse than getting that call saying, my grandson shot a bird, his first bird, but he has no license or tag, or harvest authorization, and you're like, oh, or so, and we work through it. Again, what we want is you to call in if there's an accident, if there's an error, if something happens, self-report it, because we can work through that. We don't want to take a kid's turkey or write any citations or anything like that. And if accidents happen, and we can work through it. If you try to hide it, or if you buy it after the fact, that's where, and then we get the information somehow, that's where our hands are more tied and our discretion is less, because we have to come to you. It changes the game, and we don't want to do that. So we all make mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes at some point. Even the best sportsman in the world makes a mistake at some point. So just give your local warden a call. We're pretty good people, and we'll help you out and work through the situation.
Yeah, definitely. Jake, we appreciate it. As Zach says on our video stream, love the DNR segment. Tip of the cap to Jake, always informative. So we appreciate your time, man. And,
I appreciate it. It's fun.
Yeah, enjoy the weekend.
It's always fun talking with you guys.
Hey, enjoy the weekend, man, and we'll catch up with you next week, okay?
Yeah, you two have a good one, and good luck to everyone.
You got it. There you go. There's Jake Bolks, Conservation Warden for the state of Wisconsin. We got to take a quick break, and we'll be right back in just a couple minutes.